Have you ever met the connector? Well, he ponders, he helps, he creates, he writes, he speaks. He basically connects people and brings them together. I speak about Paul Solano of PS and All Marketing Group. At psandallmarketinggroup.com, you will receive an assembled group of Paul's contacts and connections that cross into many sectors of life. Please contact Paul Solano at 617-240-4130 or psandallmarketinggroup@gmail.com if you are in the market for a wide array of services. Again, please contact the connector, Paul Solano, at 617-240-4130 or psandallmarketinggroup@gmail.com with any questions. And now, here's Paul Solano, the host of Paul Ponders.
Welcome to Paul Ponders. My name is Paul Solano of PS and All Marketing Group, and I may be reached via email at paul@paulponders.com. Thank you for joining me for my foray into podcasting. It is great to be collaborating with my friend and associate Chalonzo Amos of PodPro Entertainment to bring you some fun, exciting, and informative podcasts. For many years, I've been referred to as the connector, or in Greater Boston circles as the connector. With psandallmarketinggroup.com, I've created a side gig to connect you and get things done. Please sit back and relax and listen to today's podcast. If you are driving or operating heavy machinery and just listening, then please just listen and stay focused on your task at hand. Thanks again for listening. Enjoy my ponderings. Let #PaulPonders begin. Greetings, everyone. How is everyone doing today? I want to welcome you back to #PaulPonders. I really want to thank you for subscribing to my channel, my podcast, and it's really working out well. And it's really all possible because of the fine work that Techie Chalonzo in the control room is doing with his #PodPro Entertainment. And I want to thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We want you to just find us on whatever channel you may be listening to the podcast. Go to #PaulPonders, go to #PS and All Marketing Group, and really just listen in. This is the umpteenth episode we've been doing, and we've had a lot of exciting guests, and I have another exciting guest here this evening, and his name is Mr. Marty Gabriella, and he is the president of the Massachusetts Italian Police Officers Association. Marty, welcome.
Hi, Paul. How are we doing?
Great to have you on this podcast, and I've known you for many years. I've known your family for many years, and I've always been amazed at the wonderful things you've been able to do through the community in so many walks of life. But we've recently become reacquainted with the world of my role as treasurer of the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame. We have a mutual friend who was recently honored, Dom Sato, and it was a great event, and I want to thank you and your organization for the support. And again, a shout out to Dominic Sato, who is world powerlifting champion. And you could check that episode, recent episode from about a month or so ago. But Marty, tell me about your role and tell me about what the Massachusetts Italian Police Officers Association does and is.
The association was formed in 1968 by a group of Boston police officers, and it had two basic goals. One was they were not being promoted at the same rate as other ethnic groups who were organized and had groups, and the other was to promote the Italian heritage. Along the way, they opened up to a fairly substantial membership, 400 or 500 people from all kinds of departments within Massachusetts, and we have members in Florida to Alaska. It's kind of a wide open group, but it did work. More people got into the higher ranks and the management ranks as a result of organizing. It's pretty typical of every ethnic group, every racial group. You don't have success in single persons. You have success in groups where you listen to because there are just more of you. We've been promoting things that people in law enforcement do, particularly these days where people are sort of down on police and corrections and other folks that work in law enforcement. There's sort of a loss of respect. Everyone always thinks highly of firefighters, but not so much police officers. You see a fire truck in the rearview mirror and you just pull over. You see a police car in the rearview mirror and you get nervous. And it's just something we're trying to work on to let people know that the police are out there doing a job that very few people would even dare to do. 95% of them do it quite well, and they really don't want to be judged by the 5% that don't. And they're out there. There are bad cops. There are people that don't do their jobs. There are people that misuse their authority, and they have to be weeded out, but not at the expense of the people that show up every day and put an honest day's work in protecting the public. So it's important in that regard. And as we get into second and third generation immigrants, I'm a grandson of Italian immigrants. My father considered himself Italian, and I consider myself Italian-American, and my kids consider themselves Americans with some Italian in them. And that's sort of how that goes. So we keep promoting that. We do scholarships every year for people. Used to be limited to people interested in law enforcement, but it's just any one of our members' children that gets a letter of acceptance from a college can apply. And we generally give out between $2,000 to $5,000 or $6,000 a year to those groups. And every year we honor acts of bravery, acts of valor from different police departments. We also honor a large number of people in law enforcement that do community goods, that coach teams, that go to soup kitchens, that do other things quietly that people really don't know about. And we like to recognize them for their community service above and beyond what they do every day.
That is tremendous, and you're giving me a totally new perspective and appreciation of what your organization does. But first of all, I want to thank you for your service, your public service, with what you have done. So I applaud you and your colleagues for what you've done with the association. Now, what is the membership? How many members are there in your association?
We're about 335 members, so we're down from our highs, which is pretty typical. Younger generations they're not joiners in the same way that we were, but we're reaching out to them. We've run a few younger folks, and we'll see if we can't get more. We only do a couple of things a year in terms of interacting with the larger group, which is a comedy night and a banquet. The rest of the time, we're an informational source. We're putting out articles on what's going on in law enforcement and policing and corrections. We're sort of an information resource for people in that way. Not a lot you can pull off with membership that's spread not just all over the state, but all over the country. itapo.org, probably in little rehab right after the banquet, but there should be some information up there. You can go to our membership page from there and see any of the current events that we have, message from the president, things like that are there. We have a store. We sell clothing with our logo on it, that sort of thing.
That's tremendous. Thank you for that information. Now, you had a great career in the sheriff's office, if I remember correctly. What was your role in the sheriff's office?
Well,
in public service.
I had been working in one capacity or another in government since 1976. I worked for the city of Worcester. I worked for the state in their employment and training division. I worked at Massport for a spell. I ran a private training school, which was government funded. And then I went to the sheriff's office, and I spent 20 years there. At the sheriff's office, I was hired because of my program and grants writing experience. So I was the assistant director of human services managing caseworkers and trying to get inmates into different programs, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, adult basic education, GED programs. We even had college programs, culinary arts program, so that they'd be more prepared when they were leaving the institution. I was promoted to classification director after I was there a couple of years, and that position essentially assigns inmates and so where they would live within the institution, determines security levels they should live at, and any job assignment within the institution, up to and including community work program and work release, and then day reporting. So we're sort of moving people out from a medium security to minimum and then pre-release to ease them back into the community. After that stint, I became director of the Community Works program, and that program takes minimum security inmates and brings them out to the 54 cities and towns in Middlesex County. And we would paint schools in the summertime, do fire hydrants, painting, clear catch basins in the winter. Any government entity that would require assistance from us to do projects they could either not afford to do or just no longer could do, their cost of to us was to feed the inmates lunch. And we would do a variety of things. We were doing about $1 million a year in repairs and painting and go to a DPW and scrape down and fix up all the plows in the off season, things like that. Painting fire hydrants, cleaning up some downtown after a parade, just all kinds of requests for service like that. After that job, I became shift commander in Billerica on the day shift. I was there for doing that for a couple of years. We got a new sheriff who you knew, Jimmy DePaula, and he put me in charge of human resources, payroll, training, standards, unions, and grievance and arbitration issues, which was kind of a crazy job. Easier to deal with inmates and deal with that sort of paper hell. But I did that for almost 6 years, and then I was promoted to superintendent of the now closed Cambridge jail. And I was there 3 years, and then I was promoted to superintendent of the Billerica House Correction. And I spent the last 3.5, 4 years of my career there, and then retired.
Wow. Well, thank you for your tremendous career in public service and making it happen. And I know of 1 or 2 returning citizens who you were able to assist, and I thank you for that. Just a tremendous year in public service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I know you've also done some work with youth sports, some past experience in sports, maybe yourself and your wife and family members?
Well, yeah, I did some track coaching, but in high school I ran cross country, indoor, outdoor track. I played small man football, 150-pound football, they called it. I always make the joke. I went to a school with a lot of Italian and Irish kids, and I was 5'9", so I was the center of the JV basketball team, which tells you how tall everybody was. Running became a thing for me after I got out of the service and did, different jobs. When I started working at the state, I met a guy that I work with, Jack Dempsey, who was an excellent runner, known around Medford, Walden areas. And he was a track coach that I assisted. And he says, "Come on, you can run. Hey, have you been running?" I says, I jog a mile here or there. No, let's get you out a little longer. And before you know it, I'm doing 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 10 mile runs. Eventually became president of the track club. So Marty, the 100% Calabrese, was the president of the Irish American Track Club, which we always sort of laugh about. And I met my wife, Carol, there. Knew each other from running and hanging out together. We did everything, triathlons, marathons. She still does those things, by the way. I'm past that prime. She's tough as nails. But yeah, we ran races. We did fundraisers. We did a Jingle Bell run and got Christmas gifts for kids. We always did stuff that was helpful to others, but it was also fun because we had camaraderie. We were always in big groups, and we'd rent a bus and go to the Boston Marathon in our own bus as a track club. We'd go to the New Bedford half marathon, and then we'd all eat and party afterwards. And it was a very nice experience. I did it from the track club for 20-something years, and I had a medical issue, and running became a problem. So I'm a walker these days, but we're still going.
That is tremendous. And I believe we ran 1 or 2 Jingle Bell road races through the streets of Boston way back when, BITD, as our daughters would say. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. When I was running, I really haven't done a whole lot of running these days, but I'm walking like you, and it's really a great pastime. But I've always been amazed at your ability to participate in an Ironman triathlon. If you want to just maybe tell us about that, what was that like, and where did you do it?
I never did an Ironman triathlon.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Local ones. There's a sprint, they call them, in Lynn. Was a half-mile swim, 25-mile bike, 5 run. And I did the Bay State triathlons, which is around the Fells. And it was a mile swim, 40 bike, and 10-mile run. That was the longest I did. I did similar one out in Worcester, did another one in Upton, I believe. I only did about 4 or 5 of them. Carol was the go-to triathlon person. I was a very good swimmer, although I could swim a mile, I guess. I had to be out. But I focused more on running. Did about 5 marathons also. Strangely, in running, I weighed 180 pounds. I was considered huge for a runner. Most of the guys were 160 and down. So I didn't like going much over 10 miles. Although I did do half marathons every year. But I like the shorter distance. It suited my running style much better.
Tremendous. Well, Marty, I want to thank you for being another hashtag Paul Ponders guest. Dominic Sato was absolutely correct in saying that you would be a fascinating, interesting guest to have on. I really enjoyed our past interaction with the Massachusetts Italian-American Police Officers Association and the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame. And actually, I'm hoping that our 2 organizations could continue to do work together and collaborate on issues, and namely raising the money for education awards and scholarships for up-and-coming students who are coming through the ranks. And also, do you have anything else to add before we sign off, my friend?
No, just appreciate it. And I think public service is not looked as this real job, and to some people. But there's no job, tougher than a cop walking down a dark alley 2 o'clock in the morning because they heard some kind of noise, or a correctional officer walking into a day room that has 100 inmates in it by himself. And it's just, people don't really understand what people give up to do this work. They say, oh, you guys, you get a pension, you get early retirement. We get early retirement. People burn out doing this kind of work. So I just want to sort of throw that out there, that it's an honorable service that people should take a look at.
Without a doubt. And as the motto goes, to protect and to serve. And Marty Gabriella, I thank you for being part of that role. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. #Indeed. I trust that you have enjoyed Paul Ponders. Again, my name is Paul Solano of PS&All Marketing Group, and I may be reached via email at paul@paulponders.com to do some more pondering. Many thanks to my longtime collaborative friend and associate, Chalonzo Amos of Pod Pro Entertainment, in bringing you our fun, exciting, informative podcasts. You rock, Techie Chalonzo. With PS&All Marketing Group, I created a side gig to connect you and get things done. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me at paul@paulponders.com with any questions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Paul Ponders. Follow us on Twitter at Paul Ponders Pod. Follow us on Instagram at Paul Ponders Podcast. Thank you again for listening to Paul Ponders, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our website, paulponders.com, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment, Paul Ponders lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #the new radio. Until we meet again, my friend, stay well. #Indeed.